Miss Mattie Merrywinkle, Chapter 2. What do you reckon, Gerald? There was a buzz of excitement as Mattie entered the chemist shop to collect her prescriptions for delivery. Mr. Barlow and the shop assistant Betty were engrossed in a copy of the local newspaper, which contained an article about local lockdown heroes, one of whom was Miss Mattie Merrywinkle. What's more, the photograph accompanying the article was one of Mattie pedalling furiously around the estate. "Hey up, Mattie, love, there's a picture of you in here. Have you seen it?" "I have, Mr. Barlow. Martha from next door popped a copy through my letterbox yesterday evening. I was quite pleased with it, I have to say." "So you should be, and you're not the only one." Mr. Barlow and Betty exchanged a conspiratorial glance before he continued. "It seems like one of the national newspapers got hold of the story and ran it this morning." "Really? I wouldn't have thought they'd be interested in what was happening up here." "Well, they were, and that's not all." He and Betty exchanged another glance. "I've just had a phone call from the Chief Medical Officer in Manchester. Apparently they've been trying to track you down because they want to use that picture in some of their adverts for the NHS. What do you think of that?" "I think you're pulling my leg. That's what I think." "No, it's true. I've got the phone number here for you to ring to let them know whether or not you give your permission." "Oh, my giddy aunt, I don't know what to do." "Well, the bloke on the phone said you could take a day or two to think about it, so that's what I would do if I were you. But here, take this number anyway." Mattie did her delivery round in a bit of a daze that afternoon. She was relieved when the last prescription had been dropped off, and she was free to retreat behind her own front door and think about what Mr. Barlow had told her. No sooner had she closed the front door, however, than an enormous ball of ginger fur hurled itself at her legs. "Hey up, Gerald. Happy to see me, are you?" "Course you are. You want your dinner, don't you? I know cupboard love when I see it. Come on, you handsome beast. Let's see what we can find." As she talked, the pair embarked on a seemingly carefully choreographed routine that took them from the front door, down the dark narrow passage with the faded cabbage rose wallpaper, to the tiny kitchen at the back of Miss Mattie's council flat. For the entire journey, Gerald wove in and out of her legs with the artistry of a sheepdog competing in agility trials. At the fridge door, the weaving ceased and the purring and calf rubbing began. "I won't be a minute, Chuck. I just need to get the kettle on for a nice hot cuppa." "It's been a funny kind of day." Mattie filled the kettle, switched it on, put 2 slices of white bread in the toaster, and went to hang up her anorak. She started to remove her hat, then changed her mind. "Might keep that on a little bit longer, eh? It's a bit nippy in here. Not that you'd notice with that nice thick coat of yours." She gave the cat an affectionate rub under his marmalade-coloured chin. With the tea made and the toast buttered, Mattie sat down at the kitchen table. She put her plate down at one end, then filled up Gerald's bowl with some disgusting concoction from a tin and placed it a short distance away. "There you go, Chuck. Special chicken and liver tonight." Gerald leapt up onto the red formica tabletop by the spare kitchen chair. "Actually, that smells all right. I might just have a scraping to liven up my toast. You don't mind, do you?" So saying, she dipped her knife into the contents of his bowl, despite the fact that it was encrusted with cat hairs and the remains of previous dinners, and spread a miserly helping on her toast. "Now, while you're eating, Gerald, I just want to run something past you. You'll never guess what's happened to me." Gerald began to attack his food with short stabbing movements and ignored her completely. "Well, because I've been picture in the paper, I've just heard that the publicity team at the NHS want to use me in one of their adverts. What do you reckon to that, Gerald?" Gerald lifted his head and glared at her with his one good eye. The other had been lost in a backyard battle over territory. He bared his rotting teeth momentarily, then returned to his food. Not so keen, eh? Can't think why. I thought it might be a bit of fun for a change. She scratched at her head, removed her hat, and studied its shapeless form. Mind you, I might have to knit myself a new berry. Then again, I might not. They might give me one of them makeover jobbies. Clothes, makeup, the lot. What would you reckon to that, eh, Gerald? Gerald didn't even deign to lift his head, but his crooked tail, another casualty of territorial warfare, began to twitch menacingly from side to side. Miss Mattie tucked into her tea and chicken liver toast and gazed longingly into the distance. It's a shame you're not keen, Gerald. I was starting to get quite excited about the idea. The short stabbing movements continued unabated, but the tail twitching became more intense. Having finished her toast, Mattie wiped the toast crumbs from her mouth onto the sleeve of the navy blue fisherman's jumper she wore throughout the winter months. You'll think me a foolish old woman, I know, Gerald, but I'd even gone so far as imagining myself on the red sofa on breakfast telly, making eyes at that nice young man, Dan somebody or other. Are you sure you won't change your mind? By way of reply, Gerald batted his empty bowl to one side, splayed his claws on the tabletop, raised his crooked tail high as it would go, and arched his mangy, matted marmalade back. To complete the performance, he emitted a loud hiss. All right, no need to go upsetting yourself. I won't do it if you're not happy. Gerald relaxed his aggressive stance, then padded across the table and plonked himself in her lap. He plucked at her corduroy-clad thighs with his claws and completed a couple of revolutions before finally settling. I'll tell you what I'll do then. I'll tell them, thank you for asking, but I don't really think it's my kind of thing. What do you reckon to that, Gerald? Gerald snuggled into a ball and purred contentedly. Miss Mattie stared at the peeling paint on her kitchen windowsill and sighed sadly.